Good morning, Captain Keller. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Mr. Fayo. Thanks, it's nice to be on board.
Captain Keller, on the 8th of March, SAMSA joined the global community in South Africa and abroad in marking International Women's Day 2021. Notably, this was the first time in my experience of SAMSA that the organization actively got involved in actually marking IMD. But let's start here. Who is Captain Keller?
Well, Mr. Fayo, Captain Keller is a creation, a wonderful human being created by our wonderful God upstairs. And I'm currently the principal officer in the Cape Town office for SAMSA.
Captain Keller, how did we get here? Can you just say how Captain Keller came to be where she is in terms of her professional career development?
Wow, Mr. Fayo, that started quite a while back. You're asking a lady now to reveal her age, eh? I started my career in the marine industry as a young Portnet cadet. Back then it was Portnet, it's now Transnet, back in 1992, where I was given the opportunity going through a selection process of over 600, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the chosen 15. I then started T1 at the back then the Cape Technicon, it's now CPUT. And then I joined my first vessel 1st August 1992 with SAF Marine. I went through the ranks. I was fortunate enough to sail with all three companies in South Africa back then, SAF Marine, De Beers Marine, Unicorn, and obtained my master's on the same day as my husband's back in 2001. And so I've been always in the industry since basically leaving school.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting, Captain Keller. Our subject topic is International Women's Day, and SAMSA is in the maritime sector. Also directly involved in terms of programs for advancement of women. Now, the theme for the International Women's Day 2021 is hashtag choose to challenge. And they make a statement, a very interesting statement, that a challenged world is an alert world. And from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. And then they pose the question, which is very interesting. How will you help forge a gender equal world? Without you responding to that, a situational analysis of South Africa, as contained in South Africa's National Policy Framework for Women Empowerment and Gender Equality, is that gender inequality continues to be deeply rooted in the relationships, structures, values, attitudes, and behavior of institutions of both the state and civil society. Now, this is the question I'm going to be asking you. Do you agree with that?
Yes, Mr. Fayo, unfortunately, it is sad for me to say, but I do agree with that. I can only speak about my own journey because I cannot speak for others. But I mean, when I first walked through those doors in the classroom at the Cape Technicon, like I alluded to earlier, it was suddenly very clear that I was one of two females in a whole classroom of males. And I thought back then it's very odd that that is the case. So, yeah, no, unfortunately, it hasn't changed much. It's still very much a male-dominated career path in our side, in the maritime industry sector, and in careers in other sectors as a whole. So, unfortunately, I have to agree with that statement, yes.
But of course, relating to yourself personally, you are one of the pioneers in this field of maritime sector, especially when it comes to careers closely associated with transport or shipping, so to speak.
Yes. Yes, it is true. But Mr. Faye, there must always be a first, eh? It just so happened that I was. But I did receive a lot of support, but I also cannot hide the fact that there was quite opposition as well. One of the questions posed to myself very early in my career was, what do you try to prove? So that was just, at that stage, you just want to earn and make a living like everybody else. And you don't, and questions such as those are unnecessary. But in the same breath, I can say I also had tremendous support. And one of my favorite things that anybody said to me, one of the chief engineers on a ship once gave me a compliment and says, Nettie, you're a legend in your own right. But that took a lot of hard work and dedication and a lot of long hours to just try and find your place, try and fit in. And Mr. Faye, the reality is it shouldn't have been that hard. Look, hard work reaps great fruit. And thank you for saying that I'm one of the pioneers. But it took a lot of hard work and dedication and a lot of grit and steel to say it plainly. I think the most important point to come across is that awareness. There is so much that women can offer the industry. There's so much that women can offer the world. But when we reach our peak, that is almost when women naturally bow out to become mothers or to go home and raise the children. And our informal chat earlier also quite strongly pointed to you that I don't like to be placed in a box. I think every single individual and every woman is a legend in her own right and can bring so much to the world and to the workforce and to the workplace and has so much to offer if given the opportunity and the chance.
Captain Keller, I truly appreciate the insight you have just shared. The International Maritime Organization, which is, South Africa is a member state, and we are South Africa. Hopefully, COVID subsiding, we will be hosting the parallel event of the World Maritime Organization later this year. The IMO is one of the organizations that I'm aware of in the world, including the ILO and a few others that are playing a critical role in terms of advocating for transformation, central to which is women advancement. In fact, in its support of the IWD 2021, it posed a question. It said, are we doing enough to make our industry more diverse?
No, we don't.
Now, if I may contextualize that question, South Africa goes back to 1995 in terms of formulating, policy frameworks, this and the other. But the question remains, are we doing enough? And from what you've just said, that question becomes relevant still. Are we, as the maritime sector, doing enough to make our industry more diverse?
No, I don't think so, Mr. Faye, because when there is this there's things created such as Vista, for example, but it's all women based. I think we really need to change the behavior and the deep ingrained traditional beliefs and things like that to be able to make forward. And I mean, it should start not just in the maritime sector, it should start with the leadership of the country. And they are trying, obviously, with the employment equity and empowerment of women, but there should be far more significant drives and even consequent management in ways of saying, you've got to somehow change the behavior so that we can all move forward. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, absolutely it does. It does. In fact, just so we are not seen to be skirting around the issues, our own organization, I'm not asking you to pass judgment on it, but I think it would be to say whether or not, as a member state of the IMO, which also has a program called Women in Maritime Program, we now have an acting chief executive officer that is a woman. Broadly speaking, at the IMO itself, we had our First Lady 2019, I think, who now represents the country. Do you think that at SAMSA we are making some strides?
I do think SAMSA is moving in the right direction. Otherwise, you and I would not have had this conversation right now. I think they do try. My advice, if I may speak plainly, is to not set the women up to fail. Give them the tools, give them the training, give them the direction to succeed as they move up.
Finally, just to wrap up, in order to again narrow things up a little bit and indicate and seek to identify meaningful interventions. The IMO, again, I'm going to go back to the IMO. With its program, it's got 3 or 4 core elements to it. It's the creation of regional associations for women. It's supporting developing countries' women towards leadership positions through an accelerator program. It's production of multimedia material to raise awareness and promote inclusion. And currently, I understand that they're involved in a survey that seeks to generate data about women in the maritime and ocean fields. Do you think we could have similar programs? Do you have any that perhaps you can think of that we should be embarking upon?
Yeah, definitely to follow suit is what the IMO started. I think we can definitely benefit by introducing similar programs. And also, like I said, the 5th element of creating awareness. We have campaign against violence against women and children and things like that. But we should take a far more accountability stance. There's just too much of that still happening. And in ways of IMO itself, I think it's a very good initiative. It's a very good drive. And I think SAMSA, as the Maritime Authority, can definitely follow suit and do more, like more safety campaigns or awareness campaigns, sorry, not safety campaigns, awareness campaigns, and actually have these conversations with the females of the organization and perhaps get them in a room and throw some ideas around. There's very little of us. And also, like I say, and thank you for allowing us to speak our mind without being, intimidated or criticized, so to speak. But it is important to open that dialogue, and that's vital. Communication is vital.
Captain Keller, I really thank you for your time, and I'm sure this will contribute towards strengthening SAMSA's initiatives as well as the regional maritime sector in South Africa. I really thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Faye. Thank you for allowing me to speak.